Welcome to Mullen's COVID-19 Comeback Plan video series. I'm Bob Korroch, co-chair of the Mullen Government Contracts Practice. Today I'm going to talk to you about opportunities in government contracting during economic uncertainty. I recently returned to the office in Norfolk and was impressed by the signs. One way, do not enter, stop, 2 people per elevator, 1 person at a time in the copy room, 1 person at a time in the break room. It reminded me of my swab summer at the Coast Guard Academy. As freshmen, we were required to be at attention at all times in common spaces, and we were required to maneuver at double time. We were also required to always square our corners. Then at a point in the middle of the first semester, the upperclassmen created one-way corridors. We woke up to find signs in the passageways. One way, do not enter. And ladders, as we knew staircases, were marked as only up or down. This made life as a swab very challenging. As we performed our morning orderly duties, delivering newspapers to each upperclassman's room, emptying the upperclassman's trash cans, picking up and delivering dry cleaning, and being on time for formation, being on time for class, we had to figure out how to comply with all these new ground rules. At first, there was chaos, confusion, anger, frustration. But as we learned the new rules, we adapted. And we actually started to pride ourselves in how we overcame those obstacles and worked together. We had to communicate. We had to inform each other. It was a new challenge. COVID-19 presents that kind of opportunity to learn new ways to get business done. One way I'll introduce in our few minutes together here is selling products and services to government agencies. That's an area that in other economic times, you might not have considered to approach because it was too complicated or just had too much red tape. But now, learning new ground rules is a way of life for all of us. Federal, state, and local government agencies are big customers. The federal government already is stepping up its spending on COVID relief. So it's a good time to consider government agencies as new customers. Just a couple of things to consider when you're looking at the government markets. First is a self-assessment. What do I offer that the government needs? The government, if you think about what government agencies do, they build buildings, they improve infrastructure, they train people, they secure facilities and spaces. They perform all of the government functions, and frequently not with their own employees, but through contract relationships. So what are the services or products that you offer that the government might need, especially in these changing times? And then it's important to assess from whom does the government acquire these products or services. And this is where the situations come in that you may have heard about as small business set-aside contracting and special small business set-aside contracting for 8A program, which is a federal program for economically and socially disadvantaged individuals, businesses that are owned by those individuals. The Hub Zone program for businesses that are headquartered in a historically underutilized business zone, service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses, women-owned small businesses, economically disadvantaged women-owned small businesses. But it's important, as I stated, to understand from whom does the government buy these services. So for example, if you know that your company provides janitorial services for buildings, it doesn't make sense to go and get certified as an 8A unless you know that the customer whose building you want to maintain is interested in acquiring those services from an 8A. Frequently, those kinds of contracts go to small businesses, but they may be looking for a women-owned small business or a Hub Zone business. And if you qualify for both, it'd be important to find out what the best way to approach it is. Or if you don't qualify, but you know a business that does, you might team with that business. So again, it's important to find out the government customer that needs your services, from whom are they interested in acquiring those services? And then it's important to recognize and identify, how does the prospective customer purchase these products or services? Traditionally, you think about government contracting as a situation where the government identifies its needs, issues a solicitation, and then conducts a procurement, a competitive procurement, and makes an award. That's the traditional contracting model. But reality is, what's changed in the last 20 years is that the government has contracts in place known as multiple award schedules that are indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contracts. So frequently, a large percentage of the government's purchases, at least the federal government, are from existing contracts where they issue task orders or delivery orders against existing contracts. So again, let's say you're interested in doing facility maintenance services for the Army or for the VA. It's important to find out not only from whom is the government customer interested in purchasing these services, but also how do they acquire those services? Do they use the GSA schedule, the General Services Administration? Do they use the Navy's Seaport E? Do they have their own schedule contract? The VA, Department of Veterans Affairs, has its own part of the GSA schedule. So it's important to find out, how do they acquire those services? And then if it's from an existing contract, who has those contracts? How can you build a relationship with the company that has that contract and get access to those opportunities? That brings up another topic that's important in government contracting, and that's teaming and joint venturing to win contracts. These are, teaming is a common practice where one company says, I'll be the prime and you be the sub. I'll submit a proposal, and if I win, I'll subcontract to you. That's a typical teaming kind of arrangement, teaming agreement arrangement. Joint venturing is when the two entities form a third entity, and that entity can win the contract. To keep this short, I'll just mention that joint venturing has become very attractive to both large and small businesses because there's a Small Business Administration program called the All Small Mentor Protege Program. Under this program, a small business that doesn't have the qualifications to win a contract and a large business that's too big, might be qualified but might be too big, can actually form a joint venture, a new entity together. And that new entity takes on the characteristics of the small business. So even though a large business is involved, those two entities can form a new entity, and it can bid as a small business with the same characteristics as a small business partner. That occurs after the two have been approved with a mentor-protege agreement by the SBA. But again, this is a great opportunity for companies to work together and to pursue federal programs, especially on small business set-aside. I haven't mentioned much about state and local, but there are the SWAM in Virginia and the DBE program that's also managed in Virginia, but it's a federal program. Those are other areas to explore. But again, if you have more interest about that, you can contact us, or there's a lot of information available at the SBA's websites. So again, if your comeback plan includes expanding your customer base, consider contracting with government agencies. You might have to learn new rules of the road, but you could find the effort to be very rewarding. Thank you for your time, and please be sure to visit williamsmullen.com for more ideas and best practices. In the coming weeks, we'll be posting a variety of resources to help your business recover during and after the COVID-19 pandemic.